All right. Hello, everybody. We are just about to begin with the session in a few. I hope everybody is doing well. And before we start, we would wait for a few members to join. And in the meantime, first of all, I would like for you guys to let me know if you're able to hear and see me all right. So you can write down into the chat box that you're able to hear and see me all right. Just write yes if that's the case so that we are sure that it's all working fine. All right. And if you guys can also let us know, obviously, inside the chat box, where you're from and what do you do. So that would also be very helpful for us. All right, so you guys can see me. Yes, yes. All right, sounds good. So we'll be starting in a few, and the members would keep joining as we keep going forward. So we had to do this webinar on Sunday, the Sunday that just went by, but unfortunately, due to some issues, due to some technical issues, we were not able to conduct the webinar. So we rescheduled it for Wednesday. I'm very happy for you guys joining this session, and this is going to be a very, very informative session, and it's really going to help you out a lot with what we are going to discuss in this. So, most of you would already know what we are going to speak about because you would have received in your emails the main things that we are going to discuss in this session. And obviously, we are going to be speaking about the start of a conversation, the start of a meeting, the start of a stand up, the start of a presentation, how to get started speaking easier. Because I've been working as a coach for 2 years now, and this is something that most of the clients have a hard time with. They have a hard time getting started wherever it is, as I mentioned, whether it's in a conversation or any other speaking situation. And most of you would have realized the fact that it's at the start that you're the most anxious, that you're the most nervous. As you keep going forward, it gets easier and easier, but it's at the start where it feels like, oh, it's very, very hard, right? If you mess up at the start, then generally the rest of the conversation gets affected, right? But if you have a smooth start, if you start off really well, the rest of the conversation generally goes very well. You just start to get into that flow, and that speaking situation becomes easier and easier and easier and easier for you. So, making sure that you start smoothly would give you a huge benefit in that whole conversation or whatever that speaking situation is. Now, how to get that smooth start? How to speak smoothly, how to start off smoothly, even though you're not feeling relaxed, cool, and calm, right? So, that is something that we are going to speak about in this session. And I'll also be sharing some of the links and everything just towards the end. So, that would be really helpful for you guys if you stay up till the end. And as I said, the members would keep joining. If someone has something to ask in between, you can go inside the chat box and write down whatever you want to ask. So we would get to most of these questions towards the end of the session, right? But if I feel like there is something that I need to address right now, so I would do that as well, right? So keep posting your questions inside the chat box. We'll do our best to get into each and every single one of them, right? And that is one of the major advantages of these webinars, that you don't just get content, you don't just get information, but you can ask a lot of stuff, right? So that is, of course, very helpful. So once again, if anyone does not know me, although I hope most of you do, my name is Farrukh, and I'm serving as a certified Pro90d speech coach for the last 2 years. I was someone who used to have a real hard time with my speech. I used to struggle severely with my speech. But then I used the Pro90d speech system to move from that place up to here. Then I was further trained to become a certified Pro90d speech coach. After that, for the last 2 years, I've been working all over the world with all sorts of clients, right? So that was just a brief intro about myself in case someone is new and you don't know me actually. Hello, good evening. Good evening, good morning, good night to wherever you are inside the world. And also, if possible, write down inside the chat box where you are joining us from so that we also know that. And what do you do, right? If possible. Even if not, that's fine. Okay. All right. So, speaking about getting started speaking smoothly. So you're going into a speaking situation and you're feeling very anxious. You're feeling that you would get stuck. You're feeling that you would have a hard time getting started. You would get stuck on those first few words right there. And that fear starts to eat you up inside, right? And what do most of the guys do? At the start, because they are very, very fearful, they start speaking really, really fast. They start speaking fast, then they get stuck, they mess up, they worry about it, then they anticipate even more, it happens even more, and then it just becomes a cycle. And your whole speaking situation starts spiraling down and down and down and down and down and down, right? So that is what happens. So we have to make sure that we start off smoothly, right? Before moving on towards more terms, we would start with something really, really basic that you need to do. All right. So we have people joining from the US. That's good. That's good. All right. So, as I said, starting from something very, very basic, but very, very useful. And in fact, the most important thing that you need to do. So in this session, I'm not only going to mention what do you need to do, but we are also going to talk about how you need to do it. So the first thing is that you need to make sure that you start off slow. It sounds very, very simple, and it is, but it is often very, very hard for people to do. Why is it hard? It's hard for people to do because they have had a habit of speaking really, really fast. The people, most of the people who struggle with their speech, they generally speak extremely fast because they want to just get over with it. So you're starting with a presentation, you're starting with a conversation because you're very fearful, you just want to get over with it as quickly as you can. So that is one of the main reasons which makes people speak fast. So at the start, one most important thing that we need to do, that we need to focus on, is that we need to slow down our speech. We need to slow down our speech consciously because unconsciously you would still want to speak fast. Your mind would want you to speak fast. Number one, because of the habit of speaking fast. And number two, because you're starting off that speaking situation, you're feeling the most anxious and relaxed. So you would have to consciously get yourself to speak slow, right? Why do you guys think you would need to speak slow at the start? And what would its advantage be? If you can just write it down very brief inside the chat box. Why do you think we need to get started slow? Before I move on towards how to speak slow. I see some of you guys are posting inside the private chat. So you can go and write down in the public chat. All right. So someone said because I ran out of fear. Yeah, very important. We are going to speak about it as well. Anything else that you guys have in mind to have better control? All right. So I have one of my clients as well. All right. Good. So yeah, let me get into it. So one of the main reasons why you have to get started speaking slow, as someone said, you have to develop a greater amount of control. So speaking is same like having to drive a car. If you're going really, really fast, often you feel like you're out of control. If something or someone comes in front of you, it would be really hard to control the car if you're going really fast. Same is the case with speech. If you're going really fast, it would be really hard to control your speech. And because it would be hard to control your speech, you would start to speak fast, you would start to get stuck, you would start to be choppy, and all those things would start happening. So you have to make sure that you start off slow. And one of the main reasons for that is that you want to ease that anxiety. You want to turn that anxiety into relaxedness. You want to make sure that you get into a good, cool, and calm, relaxed rhythm at the start. That is one of the main reasons why you have to make sure that you start off slow. Now, how do you start off slow? Some of you guys might say, all right, we know we have to get started speaking slow, but it's really hard to do it. How do we get ourselves to get started speaking slow? So you have to make sure one of the skills that helps the most with it is that you need to extend out most of your words at the start. Speaking about speaking slow, at the start, I wouldn't even want you guys to remind yourself to go slow, but to remind yourself to go super slow. What happens is that because most of us have had the habit of speaking so fast that we are on one extreme right now. We speak extremely fast. So we have to focus on the other extreme, that is speaking super slow, so that we lie somewhere in between. But if we just focus on speaking slow, we might still end up towards the faster side. So, especially at the start, I would ask you guys and I would advise you guys to focus on speaking really, really slow, focusing on going super slow and extending out most of your words. Let's see an example of this. For example, I'm having to start off a webinar or I'm having to start off a session. So, most usually, the way I would do that, or most usually, the way Michael would do it would be, all right, so it's really wonderful to see everybody right here. And in this session, we are going to be speaking about some really, really important points. In particular, we are going to be speaking about four main points. So the first point would be this, the second point would be this, the third point, right? So you're noticing what I'm doing at the start? I'm trying to extend out most of my words. All right, so it's really great to see everybody right here. And we are really excited to have this meeting. In this meeting, we would be speaking about. So you're starting off really super slow. And if you see that right now, does that seem weird? I have heard many of my clients say if we speak slow, it would feel weird. Yes, it feels weird, but not because it is weird. It feels weird because it is something that you're not used to doing. Whatever you're not used to doing, and you start doing that, the first few times it would feel very weird. It would feel uncomfortable. And it should feel weird. It should feel uncomfortable because if you're not feeling uncomfortable, that's a sign that you're not slowing down your speech. That's a sign that you're not using your new speaking style. So if you're feeling very, very comfortable, that is a sign of that. So you should feel a bit uncomfortable because your mind would want you to go fast. But you have to consciously focus on super slowing down your speech. And how you do that is by extending out most of your words at the start. Just try to focus on speaking super slow. And you would have to remind yourself of this maybe 20 times, maybe more, 40 times, 50 times. Because you would find that you would focus on speaking slow, and because of the habit, you would move towards speaking fast. Then you would have to get yourself back to speaking slow. Then your mind would get you back to speaking fast. So this movement would keep happening until you actually train yourself to do so, right? And starting off slow, it sounds really, really good. It's not just to help you with your speech. Starting off slow, it really puts a flavor into your speech, into that meeting. Instead of if I started like, all right, so it's really wonderful to see everybody right here. We welcome everybody in the session. And in the session, we are going to be discussing some, right? That wouldn't sound very good. The audience wouldn't like it a lot. And even if it's a one on one conversation, starting off slow, it sounds really, really good. If you notice, if you look out there, the best of speakers in this world, if you see them when they get started, they are really slow. They are just trying to get themselves into that cool and calm rhythm, and it sounds very good as well, right? So that is how it goes. Now, one mistake that many people do is that they feel like extending your words means dragging your speech. So when I ask you to speak slow, I don't mean speak like this, where you're dragging your speech and putting everyone to sleep, right? That is dragging your speech. That is not extending. Extending sounds like this. So right now, what I'm doing is that I'm extending most of my words. Is that I extended the word extending. So I'm extending most of my words right here. So you notice what I'm doing? I'm not asking you guys to drag your speech. Try to extend more of your words. Try to slow down your speech. Speaking about slowing down, you don't just have to slow down your speech, you have to make sure that you slow down your hand movements as well. First of all, you need to make sure that you're using your hands, that you're using your facial expressions, and that you're moving slow. And I think some of my clients are also here. When I ask them to use their hands while we are in those meetings, they start to use them really, really fast. And I say, wait, I want you to use your hands, but I want you to use them slow. Why? Because if you start to use your hands fast, it would make you speak fast as well, right? If you start to use your hands really fast, it would make you speak fast as well. Try it for yourself, right? If you move your hands fast, it would be really hard for you to extend your words and slow down your speech. So your speech has to go hand in hand with how you're using your hands. And because you're trying to get yourself into a very relaxed rhythm, you're trying to slow down everything. So you're trying to start like, it's really wonderful to see everybody right here. And in this stand up, I'm going to give an update of my latest projects that I have been doing, some of the projects that I have been doing, and you would notice that you start off super slow. As you keep moving on, you start feeling more relaxed, you start feeling more and more confident, and then you would start to get into a good amount of flow. So it's about that start. If you can start off really smoothly and slowing down and extending would help a lot with that, then the rest of it would start to go very, very well. So use your hands as well. Don't just stand like this or sit like this and speak because you're starting to hold a lot of that anxiety. You want to release it out. So you need to use your hands more. So always focus on using your hands more and using them slow, right? Use your hands and use them slow. I was doing something else as well while I was showing you guys how you need to get started. And that is, I was also trying to consciously breathe more, and I was trying to pause more. And that is something that you absolutely can't skip. Breathing has a big, big role to play. If you notice, most of the guys who have a struggle with their speech or who do not have a control over their speech, they also feel like they do not have a control over their breathing. Many of you might have experienced it, that you hold your breath very, very tight and then you try to speak like this. So it's very important to keep breathing. Make sure that you breathe. What breathing does is that, number one, breathing activates your vagus nerve, and that vagus nerve makes you feel more cool, calm, and relaxed. So you would notice, even not just with speech, with anything else, if you start to breathe more, you start to feel more at ease, you start to feel more relaxed. And that is the biological reason for it. So breathing is very important, and it's part of most of the yogas, the meditations, and that is one reason for that. So, one thing, it would help you feel very relaxed, cool, and calm. It would get you into that relaxed state. And the second thing is that it would help you develop a greater amount of control over your speech because you would start to have a greater amount of control over your breath. So once you start breathing more, it gets really, really easy for you to speak slow and get a control over your speech. So make sure that you're breathing, that you're constantly breathing, right? You don't need to have super deep breaths, but still try to have deep breaths, especially at the start. All right, so we are going to be talking about something really important in this session. And in this session, there are 4 points that I especially want to highlight, and then you go on with it. So you can take one or two deep breaths at the start, and then you can switch on towards just normal breathing as you move on. But breathing is very, very important. Now, me and Michael have seen that many of the clients, just by breathing, it works as a trigger to their new speaking style. Whenever they start to breathe more, they start to get into their new speaking style just by breathing more. So breathing in itself can make you get into your new speaking style, right? So breathing is extremely important, and you also have to pause, especially at the start. Now I'm mentioning it that especially at the start. It does not mean only at the start, but especially at the start. But all these things are the things that you need to keep doing in your whole speech or in your whole presentation or in your whole one-on-one conversation, but especially at the start because you're trying to eliminate that anxiety, right? So try to pause more. What I mean by that is speak, extend out your words, pause, breathe, and then do the same thing. Pause, breathe, then do the same thing. For example, so you breathe like this, then you say a few phrases like this. You're trying to extend your words, you're trying to slow down, then you pause, and then you keep doing the same things. The reason it is very important to pause is that many people feel like they need to keep going on and on and on and on and on and on. If you do that, number one, you would speak fast, and we have already discussed some of those consequences of speaking fast. And the second thing is that, uh, yeah, and the second thing is, of course, that it would make you feel like you're out of control. So you need to keep pausing more, right? You wouldn't, uh, what's the word? You wouldn't like put a burden on your speaking system if you are starting to pause more as well, because you're not just going on and on and on and on and on and on, right? Some of the things that we have discussed so far, starting off super slow, consciously reminding yourself to start off super slow, not even slow, super slow. Once again, not even slow, super slow. Extend out most of your words. Extend out, and if you are a very fast speaker, I would even recommend to extend out all of your words, especially at the start, right? And then in a short time, you would start to feel like you're getting into the flow, and then it would get easier and easier. Then use your hands more. Start to use your hands more and also use your hands slow. Make sure that you are pausing in between. So it's like having a pause, breathing, speaking, pausing, then breathing, speaking, pausing, then breathing, speaking. Visualize it like this: you inhale from your nose and then you speak over the exhalation as your words are riding the airflow. You're speaking really slow and your words are riding that airflow. And while you're doing that, make sure that you're not speaking in very short phrases, that you're not chopping off your words. Your words need to be linked together as well. Your words need to be connected together as well. So you need to be extending out your words, and you would need to make sure that your words are connected like this. See, I'm not speaking like, to make sure that your words are connected together, right? I'm trying to go with the flow. I'm trying to link those words together to make sure that your words are connected and that you're going with the flow. So that is called free flow speaking. You're extending as well as linking your words together, right? So focusing on it, you would have to do that for that entire conversation or entire presentation or whatever that speaking situation is. But as I said, this is especially something that you need to do at the start. And for that, you would need to do a whole lot of self talk. As I said, you would need to remind yourself of it over and over again, over and over again, over and over again, because your mind does not want to speak slow. It wants to speak fast because of the habit of going really fast and speaking really fast. But you would have to consciously remind yourself of it over and over again before a conversation, as you're going into a conversation, and also while you're speaking. So be very, very aware of your speech, that, hey, I'm speaking fast, I need to slow down. Hey, I'm speaking fast again, I need to slow down. Hey, I'm speaking fast again, I need to slow down. So you might need to do that over and over and over and over and over and over again until it starts getting easier, until you start developing a habit out of it. Because you don't have to do it for your whole life. After you keep doing something for some time, then it becomes a habit. Then it happens on its own. Then you have a control over your speech. Then you can speak fast as well, you can speak slow as well, you can speak the way you want. But when you're working on your speech, it's really important to be on the slower side because of the habit of speaking really fast. And we have experienced, like with me working as a coach as well, and Michael has said that so many times, that slowing down your speech improves your speech by more than 80%. That's just amazing. More than 80% of the results in your speech, you can just get them by slowing down. So that is really, really important. It sounds very simple, and it is, but for most of the clients, it's really hard to do. And when I'm working with my clients and I ask them to speak slow, and after they speak, I say that you weren't speaking slow. And they say, no, we actually were speaking slow. So sometimes you might think that you're speaking slow, but you might not be. So try to go slower than you think what is slow. That's the reason I said try to focus on speaking super slow. Try to focus on speaking super slow. Right? So a lot of this self-talk is necessary as well. Before I move on towards the next things, does anyone have something to ask? I might get to it towards the end of the session, or I might get to it right now. We'll see. But is there something that is not clear yet? All right, seems like most of this stuff is clear. As I said, some of you guys are actually writing down on the private chat. So I want you to write down on the public chat so that most of the people can see it. If you want, then that's fine. But you can also write down here so that I can see it, because in the private chat, I will have to go right there and see it then. All right. So that is how we need to go forward. All right. So if there is no question right now, you can ask it towards the end of the session if there is something. All right. So speaking about self talk, the last thing that we were speaking about, one thing that is very, very important is most of the guys, when they're going into such speaking situations, they say that I'm feeling very anxious right now. I'm feeling very nervous. I'm feeling anxious. I'm feeling nervous. And what happens is that what we say to ourselves has a big, big impact on us in all aspects of our life. But right now, we are specifically speaking about speech, right? So if you constantly remind yourself of the fact that, hey, I'm always anxious, I'm always nervous. And when you're going into a speaking situation, I'm feeling very anxious right now. I'm starting to feel that anxiety. I hope I don't feel anxious. Then you're still focusing on that anxious feeling, and that is what would start to reflect in your speech. So instead of saying you're anxious, I want you to reframe that anxiousness into excitement. Whenever you say, I'm feeling anxious, instead of it, I want you to say, I'm feeling excited about it. I'm feeling excited about the presentation. I'm feeling excited about that conversation, or whatever it is, right? So, anxiousness and excitement are more or less the same emotions. It's just that one gets you down and the other gets you up. But if you search out there on the web, These emotions are very, very linked. So it's just how we reframe it. So instead of reframing it into, hey, I'm feeling anxious, say that I'm feeling excitement. I'm feeling excited. And then use that excitement into your speech. Use that excitement to use your new speaking style. Use that excitement to use more facial expressions, to use more hand gestures, right? Because see, excitement is something which is very, very natural, and it is always there, and it's there to help us out. For example, if I was if I had no excitement right now, I might have been speaking to you guys like this, and many of you would have left the session by far, right? So it is very, very important. We have to use it to our advantage. We have something, we can use it to our advantage as well, and we can use it to our disadvantage as well. So instead of saying it's anxiety, it's excitement. I'm excited about it. And then use that excitement to use your new speaking style, as I said. So that is something which is really, really important, and that is part of the self-talk. So I've already given you 2 points that you surely have to include in the self-talk. I'm feeling excited about it, and relax and slow down. Relax and slow down. Extend out most of your words. Breathe. Whatever makes you slow down your speech, you have to do that, right? Breathe more, slow down, and all those sorts of things. One thing that I also want you guys to add on is to constantly speak to yourself and remind yourself of the fact that you are a very, very relaxed person. You're always relaxed in every speaking situation. Whatever the speaking situation is, speak to yourself like this. Hey, listen, whatever the speaking situation is, you're always at ease. You're always relaxed. You always take your time, and you can say whatever you want, whenever you want, and in the way that you want. So you need to constantly affirm this. The first few times when you say it, your brain might say, no, you're a very fast speaker. You feel very anxious. You feel anxiety. Whatever your brain says, you keep speaking to yourself, hey, I'm a very relaxed person. Or speak to yourself, you're a very relaxed person. Listen, Farrukh, you're an extremely relaxed person. Whatever that situation is, always take your time, and you're always at ease. So the first few times it would feel fake, but the more and more you start to do it, your brain would start to believe that. You would start to believe that, because, as I said, what we say to ourselves has a huge impact on us. So you need to say things to yourself that are helpful to you. And after a few times, your brain would start to believe that, because you're not just saying stuff to yourself. There's something happening with the screen. I'm sorry for that. Right. Because what you're doing is that you're not just saying these things to yourself, but you're also working on becoming more relaxed. You're also working on slowing down your speech. You're working on the rest of the things. That's very important. But these affirmations are very important. So add these affirmations, especially add this affirmation after you wake up, before you go to sleep, and also all day long. Listen, you're a very relaxed person. You're always relaxed. You always take your time. You're always at ease. And speak to yourself with emotion. Don't just speak to yourself like, you're a very relaxed person, you're a very relaxed person. No, it wouldn't have an impact on you. Speak to yourself in a way that you start to believe that you are an extremely relaxed person. You are always relaxed, you're always at ease. Every speaking situation, you're always at ease, right? So you need to speak to yourself like that. That is very, very important. And yeah, this is part of the self talk, this is part of the mindset, and all those things. Speaking about self talk, speaking about mindset, I want to share one more thing with you that is really, really helpful. And that is one thing that has really helped me out the most. And that is a law called acting your way into feeling. Acting your way into feeling. Most of you guys might have heard of it, fake it until you make it, right? How do we use it right here? So let's say you are getting started speaking. You're feeling the most anxious, not anxious, excited, right? You're feeling like that. You're feeling like, I hope I don't get stuck. You're feeling like, I hope that does not happen, this does not happen. You're having all those feelings. In simple terms, you're not relaxed. from the inside. That's fine. Even if you're not relaxed from the inside, act relaxed from the outside. Ask yourself, oh, all right, I'm not feeling relaxed, but let's say if I were relaxed, if I was relaxed right now, how would I act? And then you would start to get the answers. Maybe if I was relaxed, I would be breathing more, I would be smiling more, I would be using my hands more, using them slow, I would be speaking very slow, I would be taking my time and enjoying my speech. Start to act that way. Start to act like you're the most relaxed person in the world right now, right? Just start to act that way. Why? Because once we start to act that way, you would notice that you would start to feel that way in a few moments as well. This law is called acting your way into feeling. You can also go out there and search it on the web. So even if you're not feeling relaxed, act relaxed and ask yourself, how would I be acting? How would I be speaking if I was very, very relaxed? And start to do all those things. And you would notice that once you start to do all of that, within a few moments, you would also start to feel relaxed. Because our actions eventually and consequently, they start to turn into feelings. So that's very important as well. If you're not feeling relaxed, it does not mean you have to act unrelaxed, if that's a word, right? You need to act relaxed. That is extremely important. And for me, I can still remember while I was still working on my speech at my university, I was asked to host a conference. And I can remember there were a huge amount of people right there, and I was feeling very, very anxious. And I was feeling like I would get stuck. I would have a hard time speaking. But then I just asked myself, all right, I'm not feeling relaxed, but let's act that way. Let's act to all of these people that I'm feeling very, very relaxed right now. And I started to act that way. And when I started to act that way, I started to feel that way as well. And because I started to feel relaxed, I gained a great amount of control over my speech. After that ended, since I was acting as the host, so after that whole thing ended, I went up to the people and I asked them, how was I speaking? How was my voice sounding? And was it feeling like I was relaxed or not relaxed? They said that it was feeling like you were extremely, extremely relaxed. But from the inside, I know my heart was beating really, really fast. But I just acted that way. And the people saw that I was feeling very relaxed. And after a few moments, or after a minute or so, my heartbeat started to slow down as well because I started to feel at ease. I started to feel more relaxed. So that is very, very important. All right, acting your way into feeling. Last but certainly not the least, and after that, I would be switching on towards most of the questions. I hope you guys are also making notes because this is some very, very important content that can really start to put your speech into a whole new trajectory. That is extremely important. So keep these things in your mind and start implementing them as you go out of this session, right? That is extremely important. Now, speaking about the next thing, which is the aspect of modeling. So this session is not based on modeling. So I'm going to speak on it very, very brief. Some of you guys, or in fact, most of you guys might already know what it means and how do we do it. So I'm just going to go over it very, 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 very briefly. Right. What is modeling? Modeling means to select someone as a speaker whom you really like the way they speak, you really admire the way they speak, and you feel like if you could speak like them, it would bring about a better speaking you, right? Then the next phase, after you select someone, then you start to watch their videos. You start to listen to them a lot because you're trying to build a mental impression of their speaking style. You keep doing this observation over and over, over and over, over and over again. After that, you start practicing modeling. You start practicing speaking like that person. You start practicing speaking like them. How are they slowing down? How are they extending? How are they breathing? At which parts do they inflect? So you try to model them. You do not try to actually match their voice. That is called mimicking. We're not trying to do that, But what we are doing right here, it's called modeling. That is, you're trying to match their speaking rhythm. You're starting to match their speaking rhythm and their speaking cadence. That is very important. So you start to match it. You watch their videos and then you try to speak like them. So both of the things, the observation has to be done over and over again, and this practice has to be done over and over again. Then what you do, you go out to speak and you focus on, if my model was here right now, how would he speak? If my model was here right now, how would he feel? If my model was here right now, how would he act? And because you get into the zone of your model, because you get into the modeling shoes, you forget, for the most part, how you used to speak, how you used to have a hard time speaking, all of your unsuccessful speaking experiences, because in that moment, you're not yourself, you're your speaking model. Let's say you're modeling Michael, so you're Michael right then. Then you ask yourself, if Michael was here, how would he speak? Would he be speaking fast? Or would he be speaking really slow and just easing his way into his speech? Would he be breathing? Would he be linking his words? How would he be feeling? Would he be feeling very anxious? Or would he be feeling at ease? Would he be enjoying it? How would he be acting? Would he stand really straight and really stiff, or would he be using his hands, using them slow? He would be using his facial expressions. And then you start to do all of that because you are your speaking model right then. It comes with a lot of practice, right? That observation, number one, that practice by yourself, number two, and number third, going out there and then trying to act, speak, and feel like them. And that brings me towards this point. Just like you could ask yourself, how would I be acting right now if I was feeling relaxed? You can also ask yourself, if my model was here, how would he act? How would he speak? How would he feel? And then you start to focus on doing all those things like your model. So let's say at the start you're not feeling relaxed. You ask yourself, if Michael was here right now, if you're modeling Michael, would he be feeling anxious or would he be feeling very relaxed? All right, so I'm Michael right now. It means I'm relaxed. I need to speak slow since I'm Michael right now. I need to extend and blend my words. I need to act like this. I need to speak like this. So you put all of your attention from, I hope I don't get stuck. I hope I don't get stuck. And I hope I don't have a hard time speaking, on towards how would my model speak? How would my model act? How would my model feel? You put that attention on towards that. And believe it or not, it's all about focus. We get stuck because we focus on it a lot. We feel like, I hope I don't get stuck. I hope I don't get stuck on this word. I hope I don't get stuck on that word. And that is the most important reason that we get stuck and we have a hard time speaking, right? You would have noticed various on various occasions that you're speaking and you're speaking in a flow, and after you speak you look back and say, how was I able to say that word? That word I've historically struggled with saying in the past. So how I said it that time? Well, you said it that time because you were in a flow. For some reason you weren't anticipating, you weren't worrying about it, and because of that you did not get stuck. So it means that the game lies around that anticipation, the game lies around that worry. Worrying about, I hope I don't get stuck, wouldn't help you a lot. Because it's just like if I ask you right now, don't focus on a red car right now. You would be having that image of a red car in your brain right now because I asked you not to focus on it, right? Same is the case with speech. If I focus on, I hope I don't get stuck, you would get stuck more. So that's not helpful. I know I have done it all my life. I thought that the way to actually deal with stuttering and stammering is to focus on how to not do it. But that isn't helpful. You have to focus on what you do want. What you do want is excellent and amazing speech. What you do want is a smooth speech. What you do want is your modeling speaking style. What you do want is your new speaking style. And once you start doing that, all the rest of the stuff starts to take care of itself. So shift your attention from what you don't want to what you want. If you focus on, I hope I don't get stuck, no. Focus on, I want to speak smoothly. I want to speak in an excellent fashion. If you start to focus on, I hope I don't get anxious, don't focus on it. Focus on, I want to feel more relaxed. In each of these situations, if you notice, what I'm doing is that I'm shifting my focus from what I don't want to what I do want. Same is the case with modeling. You're trying to positively distract yourself from the thoughts of, I hope I don't get stuck. Because when you're focusing on that modeling style, you can't be worrying about the rest of the stuff, because your brain can consciously focus on one thing at a time, right? So that is how it goes. So we spoke about making sure that you start off really slow, that you breathe a lot, that you pause a lot, you use your hands, you use them really slow. Then we also spoke about the law of acting your way into feeling. We spoke about self talk, we spoke about those affirmations, and we spoke about the modeling as well, right? So all of this stuff is extremely important, and believe it or not, if you get started smoothly, the rest of the conversation, you would find that it would go really smooth. So that is how we would be speaking about this in this session. And all of these things, as I said, they're extremely important. I hope you guys were making notes. Even if not, we would try to get you the meeting recording of this session. So if anyone joined late, if anyone missed out on something, you can go back and look at it. And these are some things that I want you to start implementing right from the word go, right? That is, you have to start doing it right now. Many of the people also feel like, if I focus on using my new speaking style, how would I focus on what I need to say, right? And you might also have this in your mind. Make sure that 80% of your focus right now is on your speaking style. 80% of your focus should be on using your new speaking style, and you let the rest of the 20% trust that you're going to say what you want to say. If you are fluent in a language, you don't need to anticipate every single word. You don't need to actually think about every single word. Yes, if you're not fluent in a language, then you might need to anticipate every word, think about the content and stuff. But if you're fluent in the language, you just need to think about that main idea in your mind. All right, I need to go up to him and I need to speak to him on my school, or I need to speak to him about our meeting schedule for the next day. Then your mind knows how to do it. Your mind knows what words to use. It knows how to actually construct those sentences. You don't have to focus on it. You keep your attention on towards using your new speaking style, making sure that you're slowing down, that you're breathing, that you're modeling, that you're doing all the stuff that we spoke about. That is extremely important. And when you would do that, you would start to notice that, hey, even by not focusing on the content, I said exactly what I want. That is how it goes, because speaking is like walking. If you want to, for example, if I want to get up from here and walk up to my gate, that is the main idea that I need to have. And the rest of the stuff would be done by my mind, my whole body. I don't need to focus on, hey, I need to move my right leg first, then my left leg, then my left hand, then my right hand. If I start to do that, walking would feel and look very weird. So you don't need to do that at all. Just focus on that main idea. All right, I need to speak on this in this presentation, in this conversation, and then put all of your attention towards using your new speaking style. And even by focusing on even one small thing that you learn from this session, oftentimes that is more than enough. Because you might think that the most important thing for me right now is breathing and slowing down. And when you just start to focus on it, you would feel that it naturally starts to get you into your modeling style. It naturally starts to get you into your new speaking style. So you need to put the focus very simple. All right, I need to breathe and slow down more. Or I need to extend my words more. I need to pause more. Take just one thing, or let's say two, and start implementing that. and they would work as those triggers to your new speaking style. But make sure that you're not just doing it in real life speaking situations, that you also do the practice by yourself. Sit with yourself, practice modeling. Sit with yourself and practice speaking slow. Just visualize like you're getting started with a meeting right now, and practice speaking slow. Visualize that you're speaking with your mom, that you're speaking with your father, or whoever it is, and that you're really slowing down your speech, and that you are, having a fun time with your speech. So try to simulate those speaking situations and practice that a lot. Give at least half an hour to 1 hour on your speech every single day. And believe it or not, you don't just have to keep doing these things all your life. Once you keep doing them over and over again, you finally get to a point where it becomes automatic. Right now, I'm not focusing on something. It is all happening by itself because I worked on my speech for a long time. And I come from a place where I literally used to force out every single word. I literally used to force out every single word, sometimes saying even yes, even no, even hi, even hello. It was a big, big thing for me. So it was a huge thing for me. But one thing that I want to mention is stammering, stuttering is the best thing that has ever happened to me because it forced me to work on my speech. The way that I speak right now, I might not have spoken like this if I had not struggled with my speech because I would never have worked on my speech. Yes, I might have been at a place where I wouldn't get stuck, or but I would still be a very shy person and not speak a lot. But working on my speech gave me an opportunity to speak in this way. Now I get to host events. Now I get to work with clients who struggle with their speech. Now I get to go out there and speak a lot, speak in meetings, speak in stand ups. So you're working on your speech to go even past the average person right there. Your fluency would be even greater than the average person. Let's say you're right here, right now, and the average person is right here. We are there to help you get here. We're not there to help you get here. Even that's not even the goal, to focus on stopping stuttering, stammering. Our goal is to become an excellent and amazing speaker because you're working on your speech. So why to only work to not get stuck? Why not to work to become one of the best speakers? Because when you do that, the rest of the things, the other things would naturally take care of themselves. All right. So this was the stuff that I wanted to pack in this session. I hope you guys had something to learn from this. We would be moving on towards most of the questions right now. And if you guys have questions, keep writing them down inside the chat box. And once again, if anyone missed something or anyone joined late, you would also get a recording for the session on your emails so you can look that up in case you missed out on something. And as I said, this was some content that is extremely important that I want you to have in your mind. And as I said, just focusing on these things that we talked about in this session, wow, your speech can start to go towards that next level just by focusing on even these things, right? So I'm mentioning it over and over again. I hope you guys realize how much importance and emphasis that I'm laying on this subject. And please keep writing down your questions inside the chat box. I'll also be sharing some links. So if there is someone who would like to work one on one with me, because with the one on one coaching, we can help you get to where you want much, much faster. Because with the coaching, you have someone to give you feedback on, you have someone who can really get you focused on it. All right now you need to focus on this, then you need to focus on this, then you need to focus on this. Because when you're working by yourself, you might feel like there is a lot of stuff, so I don't know what is the most important thing for me. But a coach, from his own experience, from the experience of working with so many clients all over the world, knows what would exactly work out for you. So you get that feedback. Then you get that encouragement. Many people feel like, okay, I started to work on my speech. No, I still experienced a failure. And then they start to stop working on their speech and their speech starts spiraling down. But a coach is there to make you realize that, hey, listen, it's part of the process. You're changing a habit that you have been following for years and years. So it's going to take some time. So you get more feedback, you get more of that accountability. Because once again, when someone is working on their own, at the start, they might be very excited. But as they move on, they might feel like, oh, life gets in the way, work gets in the way, then they stop working on their speech. But when you know that you have to speak with a coach, he would look at your speech, he would analyze your speech in the next meeting. So it makes you work on your speech more and more, right? So with these, all of these advantages, we have found that working with a coach can make you reach where you want at least 10 times faster. So, working with the one on one coaching, you can get to where you want within a period of 90 days or so. So, that is basically the most important thing. All right, so people are also writing down their questions. And for that, because of that Black Friday sale, I have a few links for you if there is someone who want to get started with the one-on-one coaching. And these links would be valid until this Sunday. So if you sign up for them, then you can get these discounts. So we have those 8 sessions at just 800 USD if someone is looking for the coaching, right? And we have that 12 sessions, or we have those 12 sessions just at 997. It's almost 50% off on these packages. So if you want to really take advantage of them, now is the right time, and these links are valid up until Sunday. All They were valid until Wednesday, but we have extended the day because the webinar was extended. So we have extended it out until Sunday. And if, first of all, before getting into the coaching, you would like to have a one on one free assessment session with me to know if this coaching is a good fit for you. So, I'm also sharing a link for that where you can book that free session with me and we can discuss the best coaching package for you. But some of you guys might want to get started. You might know me from the start, you might have spoken with me as well. So you just might not need to book this session. If you want to get started right away, then you can sign up via those links. If you want that one on one session first, then here is the link for that, for booking that one on one assessment session, right? And these links would still remain after I end this session. So please save these links with yourself so that you can look out at them. All right, moving on towards some of the questions. How long does affirmations must be? Also, how do we deal with the bad speaking experiences? Good question. First of all, the affirmations, as I said, you should specially say them after you wake up in the morning, before you go to bed at night, because these are the times where our brain is in the alpha state. It's in the most relaxed state. So these affirmations are able to sink in quite well, especially at these 2 points. You can say these affirmations 4 times in the morning, 5 times in the morning, 6 times, as much as you want, but say them with some emotion. That is extremely important. And then also all day long, that's like self-talk. You keep doing the affirmations, you keep reminding yourself to slow down, to relax, to use your new speaking style. So this is something that you need to do all day long, right? Before you're going into a speaking situation, while you are speaking, right? So these are some things that you especially want to do as much as you can. Bad speaking experiences, like I explained, it is part of the process. Let's say you're right here right now, and you want to move right here. So the journey wouldn't look like this. No, the journey would look like this. It would be up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. But if you notice, the overall movement is still upwards as long as you keep doing the work. Bad speaking experiences, it's the way you see it. For example, before you started working on your speech, you used to have a 5 minute conversation, and in those whole 5 minutes, you used to have a real hard time. But now you're working with the system. Now, 1 minute of that conversation went well, but the rest of the four did not go well. Focus on that 1 minute. Be happy about it. Celebrate it. Look at it like a success. Then slowly, 1 minute would start to turn into 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, and eventually the whole 5 minutes. So focus on the successes. Would you need to focus on the failures? The failures have been there all your life. Success is something that is new. So have your mind focus on the success. The more you focus on the successes, the more they build up. Even if you're feeling more relaxed, that's a success. Even if you said one word or one sentence very smoothly, that was not like the way how it was before, even that is a success. So try to focus on successes. Try to go out there, speak more using your new speaking style so that you experience more successes. Try to write down your successes at night. The more you focus on successes, the more they build up. Focus is like your own personal sunlight that you can point at whatever seed you like. If you point it at failures, they might grow. If you point it at successes, they would grow. So try to focus on the successes. The more you focus on them, the more you celebrate them, the more they build up. I think I have one more question. And before that, I'm also leaving my email address so that if anybody wants to reach out to me on that email address, you can surely do that. And you can ask something about the webinar, you can ask something about the coaching or whatever you want, or you can also just sign up for these sessions, as I said, and let me know inside the email that, hey, I've signed up, and then we can start to book your sessions with me. All right. So here's my email address as well if anybody wants to ask me anything after this session. All right. How long did you model Michael for? After what point in time did you feel that you did not need to model anymore? That's a good question. And that's just a feeling that you get. After you keep doing that over and over again, you finally reach a point where you feel like, even if I'm not focusing on modeling, I'm still modeling, or I'm still using my new speaking style. That's the point you realize that you don't need to do it more. It's now automatic. It's working automatically right now. Right? So that's how it goes. How long it took me? It got me very long because at the start, I had no funds for the coaching. So I was working by myself. And because of that reason, since I was working by myself, I wasn't working on it as much. I started working, but then I left off. So it wasn't really good. But just towards the end, I also got some one on one coaching from Michael, and that was certainly something that was really helpful for me. But if you keep doing that every single day, if you keep working on it, practicing it every single day within a period of around 90 days or so, you would start to feel that it becomes automatic within like 90 to 100 days, something like that. But you have to make sure that you keep doing the observations, the practices, going out there and practicing modeling in real life speaking situations every single day. If you keep doing that within a short period of time, within like 90 to 100 days, you would get there. For me, it got me longer, around an year or so, because I was not working with a coach then. So that was the main reason. But with the coach, or if you're working, even if you're working by yourself, but you are focused on doing it every single day, you can reach there within a few months. All right. Are you all in social media really want to follow Pro90D program? Yeah. So I've also, like, the links that I've shared with you, these are for the Pro90D speed system. And you can go and type pro90d.com. That is where you would reach our website. And I would also write it down, pro90d.com. Here you would find me as well. Here you would find Michael as well. And on the social media as well, you can find Michael and myself on LinkedIn. If you just write my name or Michael's name and write something like speech coach, you would find us. Same is the case with Facebook. Search something like Pro90D. So Pro90D Smooth Speech System. We have a Facebook group as well, right? And we have, you can find us on LinkedIn as well. You can find us on Facebook as well. You can find us on Instagram as well. So we are all over the place. You don't need to worry about that, right? You can just go out and search. If you're not able to find us, I've left my link, I've left my email inside the chat box. You can reach out to me and ask that to me on my email. So that's how you can do that, right? But you can find us everywhere. Search terms like Pro90d, Farrukh, Michael, speech coach, and you would be able to find us all. If you're not, let me know inside my email and I'll share all the links with you on your email address, because right now I would have to find them. Okay. So that's how it goes. You would also get this webinar recording, and you might also get some links on your emails. And that is the way that we would be moving forward. Anything else that someone has to ask before we wrap up? I hope you guys had a fun time. I had a real fun time speaking to you all. And I hope you guys liked it. Thank you so much. You're welcome, and keep updating. Yeah, I'll surely keep updating you guys. If there is something, as I said, you can always reach out to me on my email. And if you want to take advantage of these discounts for the one on one coaching, I've also shared that. These are at 50% off. So that's a huge discount until Sunday if you sign up. After that, the prices would rise, but you can still sign up after that, but the prices won't be the same. All right, so that's how it goes. And if you want to book a one on one session with me first, there's also a link for that. Anything else? Hmm. Achha, all right, so some people have also mentioned their questions in the private chat. So, Asma asks how to overcome anxiety during interview. I would say just by doing all the stuff that we spoke about in this session. You don't just have to do it once, you have to keep doing it over and over and over and over again, and that anxiety would take care of itself. That's not anxiety, that's excitement, by the way. But it would start to take care of itself, and you would start to feel more and more relaxed as you keep doing the stuff that we talked about in this session. All the stuff, slowing down, breathing, modeling, having to pause, acting your way into feeling, all these sort of things. But one thing that you necessarily need to do is that you need to go and have more and more of those interviews. Go out there and have more and more of those interviews and implement all of the things that we were speaking about over and over again until it gets easier and easier and easier and easier. All right. Uh, Someone asked, but what about my English was not clearly? I'm not sure what you're trying to ask, but if you are speaking about that aspect where I was talking about, if you're fluent in a language, then you might not need to focus on it. Yeah, if you're not fluent in a language, then you might need to focus on the words as well. But try to work on your speech in the language that you're fluent on, and then move on towards the rest of the languages, right? But first, try to make yourself learn this new speaking style in your own language, and it would start to spill over into all the other languages as well, because your speaking style stays the same. If I speak the language of Urdu, if I speak French, if I speak Spanish, if I speak English, my speaking style would be the same. So we are actually working on the speaking style. So make sure that you're working on your speech in the language that you're fluent in, and then you start to move on towards the rest of the languages as well. But most of the stuff that you're doing in one language, it would start to spill over into the other languages as well. All right. I hope I was very clear. But once again, if there is something which is still not clear, you guys can reach out to me on my email address and ask me your questions right there. All right. And I'll be more than happy to help you out with it. All right. So I look forward to seeing you guys inside the system. If it's a good fit for you, inside the one on one speech coaching, inside these sessions, and inside the Pro90d speech system, right? So I was really happy to see you all right here, and may you guys be blessed. Remember, all of you are excellent and amazing speakers. Just work on your speech and keep taking your speech and your life towards the next level. May you be blessed. Thank you. All right. So just before I move on, someone else asked a question: what if a model are different from different language speakers? All right. What if our model are from different language speakers? That was the case with me as well, because I was modeling Michael, and Michael only speaks the language of English. I speak English, but most of the times I speak my own language, that is the language of Urdu, the national language of Pakistan, right? So I modeled Michael in my own language as well. For some of you, it might feel weird, but it worked out for me. I asked myself, how would Michael speak if he knew my language? How would Michael speak if he were to speak my own language? Then I modeled Michael for my own language, and it worked out, right? So, most of the times, if not all of the times, it would work out. Because, as I said, the speaking style stays the same. Even if you're modeling someone from, if they are not speaking the same language, but their speaking style stays the same. So just try to work on modeling them in your own language. If you're finding it hard to do it, then you can also have a model in your own language as well. But make sure that is not someone who speaks, because that is not going to help you with your, especially at the start part of it. So make sure of that. You can also select a model in your own language, but you can model someone else from another language and translate it into your own language as well. That also works. Also, most of the stuff that I did in English, it did start to spill over into my own language as well. But working on your own language as well with English would really make this process even faster. Let's say you're just working on it in English, it still would start to spill over into your own language as well. But if you also start to do the work in your own language as well, the process would become really, really fast. So that is a major, major advantage to it. And what I used to do is that I used to actually, just a second. Yeah. So I used to actually translate some of Michael's English videos into my own language, and then I tried to model that way, right? I tried to model having the same speaking style, but speaking my own language. Then I also used to practice saying content of my own in my own language. For example, how would Michael speak about my hobby? Or, for example, I need to speak about my hobby and I need to do it using my modeling style. I need to speak like Michael. How would Michael speak if he was speaking in my own language? And then you start to speak about your hobby. You can speak about how your day went. You can speak about what are some of your plans for the next day, for the next week, whatever it is. Right? But it does work. If it's not working, you can find a model in your own language as well. Right? And yeah, so with that, I hope I answered your question. Once again, you can reach out to me on my email address if it was not answered the way you wanted it to. And I would be trying to wrap up this session now because I have to start a meeting with the client very soon. All right, so it was a really fun time with all of you guys, and thank you. And I hope you guys had a great time. You guys had something to learn from this, and look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you. Bye bye. You're welcome.